a world where things almost make sense, and most everything is interesting and mildly unique, it's a place that feels somewhat familiar and has the suspicious comfort of a loving semi-omnipresence. You are on the outskirts of Loutopia. Sit back and relax, or tense up and march around. Please welcome your host of Loutopia, Lou Angelwolf.
Hey, just like I said, welcome to the Loutopia podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Lou Angelwolf, and I'll be your host for the next hour. I cannot tell you exactly what's going to happen, but it'll be enjoyable. All right, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Facebook. Everybody on YouTube, welcome aboard. And I know we're on a couple other formats, too, and especially our friends at the IRN Broadcast Network. That's irnbroadcast.com. Mike Peter over there has a fine stable full of talk show hosts here from the Tampa Bay area. He's got some of the finest independent music of all types of genre. And so if you're looking for what's happening on the inside, outside, on the side, the kids that left the playground early, you're wondering what's going on, irnbroadcast.com. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Loutopia podcast is a podcast that comes out every week about health, humor, and well-being. You know, we get off on other tangents. We're not all about that all the time. But every week here, next to me, to my right, my Wikipedia, it's Michael Merberg.
Hey, Lou.
How are you, bud?
Virgin voyage into Facebook.
Yeah, man. Now all the satellites know what we look like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they can zero in and find out more.
Yeah. Yeah, they can pretty much take a picture of you going to bed.
Well, they certainly found us this weekend.
Oh, and look at this nice under the table shot we got going on here. This is hot.
You've gone from the outskirts of Loutopia to the under the skirts of Loutopia. Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That's holy cow! I didn't even check my pants today.
Yeah, we don't have a. we got Lou's phone on a tripod, but the tripod is sitting down in front of the shot, and I did not realize
how low it was.
Yeah, and thank God, Mike's shorts are. If they were a little bit shorter, this would be straight to you porn.
This is funny. This is like this is the high end of comedy here.
Okay, I'll try to angle it up.
You got a book to put it on or something? I'd elevate it a little bit. Not that I mind, but an hour long.
That'll be tough.
An hour long crotch shot's a bit much for anybody.
Yeah, it's like,
it's like there's going to be a point people are going to look away. It's like, they're going, yeah.
My goodness.
There's Angel Wolf's ham right there.
Oh, that's kind of cool. You can put that there.
Yeah, really close.
Yeah, you'd never even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it back there. Yeah, just don't move.
Yeah, that's okay.
Wow, look at that. Yeah.
Hey, now that looks professional.
That really does. That's great.
Yeah.
And
cool.
you don't have to look at my ham all night.
Damn.
Anyway.
It looks professional, but the 8 seconds before is like a train wreck of a visual medium.
We apologize, Facebookers, and we love the fact that you're on and that you're looking.
Hey, you got 10 watching.
10 watching, and maybe more. Who knows?
There are your comments right there.
Yeah, I can't read them. They're too far away.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
what are the glasses for? Exactly.
Looks. They're just for looks.
Hey, Lou. Joe Goodman from Tasmania watching you.
Oh, I can see him on the big
hey,
screen.
Joe. How you doing?
Hey, look at that.
It's right in front of you, bro.
I was trying to read it off the phone. Sorry.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I love what Chris can do with the production of the show. But if it was ever up to me to have to do it all by myself, not so much. I can jumpstart a car. I can, set a set of points, and I can get you going. But this whole stuff.
He's our producer, resident paramedic.
That's Chris's job. Yes, he is a paramedic.
A firefighter. Putting out fires.
Yeah, two big husky guys sitting around.
Waiting for a heart attack.
Good thing you're here, buddy.
No,
Good thing you're here.
That's now there's a lot of pressure on me there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Chris Gorgeous over there. It's us three for the first half an hour. And then the second half of the show, we are greeted by one of my favorite people on earth, Beth Snyder from BethSnyderHypnosis.com. Beth is a wonderful, talented, and gifted hypnotherapist that spends a wonderful half hour with us every week, and we try to get that ethereal side to whatever it is we're talking about. And she always brings the jewels, and she's available at BethSnyderHypnosis.com. She also owns a beautiful metaphysical shop down in Sarasota. That's theomshoppe.com, TheOmshoppe, theomshoppe.com. So that's the show right now. And Michael has a wonderful hobby that I'm really, really growing interested in. And for those of you who've been listening to Loutopia, you probably know this story. I got my extraterrestrial download in utero. When my mother was carrying me in about her 8th month, she had a sighting, an experience, a contact with a flying saucer, a UFO, whatever they called them at that time. And my mother greeted the aliens. They did not come down out of the ship, but the ship was there. My mother was there with my nanny, my grandmother, and they were there for a good 5 minutes. It was a silver disc with the occasional flashing red light around the outside, and it sat right there and hovered over their farm in October of 1959. And that's where I think they sent me down, or that's where I got my download or my marching orders or whatever it is. And that's why, if you've known me a long time, that's what's wrong. But anyway, so
what's the topic tonight?
Well, I'm about to it. I'm a little long-winded, as you know, Chris. And in that, I've always felt attached to extraterrestrial things outside of this earth. When I was a little kid, other kids used to read, Archie comics and Superman. I read Fate magazine. Do you know what Fate magazine is?
No.
Fate it's been around since the early 50s.
Very somber no.
That was a great no. That was probably one of the better recorded no's in history. Fate magazine, if you look it up, Fate, Fate magazine, is a incredible magazine published every month, still published, about the unusual and the odd. They've gone through several ownerships. But when I was a little kid, I used to read about, aliens visiting the Earth, what to do after a flying saucer lands in your field. I knew that was the stuff I was entertaining myself with when I was young. So anyway, CE5 is an abbreviation for Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is human-initiated extraterrestrial contact through meditation and prayer. Is that a good?
Yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, you're doing good.
And last Saturday night, the lovely Pamela and myself, and we went out to the ranch, and we had our CE5 session along with several other groups that meet across the globe. Sometimes we don't know exactly where they are, but we have this concentrated effort. And what it is, we approach any extraterrestrial life or any extraterrestrial entities, beings, spirits, in a peaceful and kind way. We let them know that, we're turning our underbellies to you. You can take what we say and trust it. We're approaching you with the childlike portion of our personalities, of our beings, of our souls, and we're saying we offer you the one thing that we know in this world that is true, and that is that beam of love, that stripe of love, that one strand of love that comes to every human being from the source from which it came. And that's what we're offering in its frailty to them, to see that we do mean to come to you peacefully. We do come to learn, and we're also here if you have any questions. So, but Michael has been, how many? You're like a year and a half into these now, huh?
Well, I've been doing this since 2015.
Okay, all right.
So, but I've been doing CE5s ever since I got trained in Los Angeles by Hollis, one of the guests of our show, and Costa Macraeus, back in early 2016, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's right. I've been to 4 or 5 of them out there at the ranch.
You were actually one of the first ones before
Yeah.
I started the CE5 Tampa Ambassadors to the Universe meetup, which was, that whole name came out of nowhere. So I'm still wondering how I ever
Repeat
got
it again slowly.
The Tampa CE5 Ambassadors to the Universe meetup. Yeah.
I think I belong to that club.
Of course, you're right there.
And it's beautiful. And what the I'm OG with this stuff. I was out there when there was just 3 of us on a blanket.
Right.
Were you flipping gang signs? What were you doing out there?
Yeah.
Mr. OG.
I am OG on so many things, and I really I'm just flattered that I'm just I'm like the feather in Forrest Gump. I'm always just kind of floating by. But anyway, the CE5 is a beautiful. We had a beautiful group. What was there? 20.
Well, there are 22. We had some
22?
tough weather, but we had 22 invited. 14 showed, of whom 4 were absolute beginners and neophytes to this. And let's go back a little bit. Back in the day when it was I and Rose Bellissimo, and we brought you in to start doing this before the group was formed. We had a good first night there. We had a couple of craft come in, and they did the typical 90-degree bank turns at about half the speed of light, and and that was kind of a good night.
That big red bar was always is an amazing memory for me.
Yeah, well, we had a great night, but we really starting to cap it off with learning how to do this. And I've got a comment that your invocation in the field, the second invocation, was really over the top. It was really good. You really put it together. It came so naturally to you.
Thank you.
And then what happened after that? I mean, it was a strange occurrence because, number one, I had gotten in touch with another comedian. And what people don't know here about Beth is a former stand-up.
Yeah, we all have this stand-up comedy background.
Chris is a regular stand-up, and so are you. And I met you through stand-up comedy, learning how to write and fail on stage. I have some of the greatest failures ever.
And you were successful.
I know. I was learning. Yeah, I go into the whole Steve Baird philosophy of how to die on stage.
Yeah, you gotta die gracefully, brother, because it's gonna happen.
you gotta take that microphone and suck it never.
Like rents do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's Baird. And then Baird was an experiencer as well.
Yes, Baird was an experiencer, and it really he was one of those guys that you could really tell it had an effect on his personality. Because when you talk to him about it, he was a little different.
Oh, yeah.
He took on a little different energy.
Yeah.
And it's really nice. I can't read all the things fast enough, but Daniel Miller, who's listening to the show, and thank you so much for that, he said, I bought every paperback book I could find on UFOs when I was a kid in the 60s and 70s, and he hasn't seen one yet.
Oh, well, come out to the ranch.
Well, we know where they're at because we invite them, which is a really, really cool thing to do. And to be honest with you, Michael, I totally get it. I was talking to you about 4 or 5 months ago, and I think I was asking if you were dating somebody or whatever it was. And you went, once you're into the CE5 thing, worrying about, somebody's political differences or a dog or cat person or whatever, it kind of falls to the side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, but who is arguing over who's a dog or cat person?
Well, Michael's single. And
okay.
And he meets women.
Oh.
And
I'm sorry.
It's strange and exotic coffee houses. where the cake is stale and the coffee overburned.
Wow. Sounds like a film noir episode of a...
Well, I tell you what, whoever made that coffee at your house Saturday night. Was that you?
Yeah.
Were you a Marine?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. Dude, I was up till this morning.
We don't use plastic forks or stirs with it either, Yeah, that kept us up for a little bit there.
And that's the one thing is you love, once you get out there and you get settled in, and there was a beautiful group of 14 people or so. And we all approached the experience with a childlike heart, and we had sightings, and that's what this show is about this week, folks. It's about CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, human-initiated extraterrestrial contact through prayer and meditation, or meditation and prayer, whatever you want, or just thought, if that's where you're at. It doesn't matter. We don't judge that way at all. So, but what I'm saying is, for a hobby, there's nothing cooler than this.
Well, actually, for me, it's an avocation because I've been, I've had a lifetime of contact. So,
right,
and I didn't go public with it until a few years ago, and I'm still going public with it. Excuse me. But what we need to tell everybody, one of the amazing things that happened in our contact group, not that other things haven't, because I mean this was up there in the top 5. But I had met a fellow by the name of Buddy Bolton, who is a comedian and a producer in New York, and he has a CE5 group. He's now public with his group in Southern New York State, and I got to meet him through he was on Grant Cameron's show, and I kind of tracked him down.
And Grant Cameron is
he's a UFO investigator from Canada, who's probably the most highly respected fellow around in the business.
Yeah, I know who he is.
And excuse me. Actually, Cameron, got my attention when I've been doing work with the Rama, some Rama people down in Miami, and Rama is a South American group from Peru, and they had come up to Shasta, and they had invited Grant Cameron there, and he was present for the opening of a Zendra portal, which was probably the first time it's happened in the United States, and even though the Rama people have been able to do it through their protocols down in Peru.
Now, a portal of what kind now?
A portal. Well, the Rama fellows and gals from South America call it a Zendra, but essentially a Zendra. I call it, Zendra portals, or But what it was is the an aggregation comes together of it's almost a cloud-like substance, and it lands or forms usually within 30 or 40 yards of a group. And it will allow certain people to enter, and they have face-to-face with extraterrestrials. Oh. And when that happened, when Grant was at Mount Shasta, it really got my attention. Not that this hadn't had my attention,
of course,
but he kind of, I'd heard of him tangentially, and then I, started getting more interest. But nevertheless, so I caught one of his podcasts, and Buddy was on there, and I contacted Buddy.
And Buddy's another comedian.
Buddy's there's the comedian.
Man, I'm telling you, there's something about
what's going on here.
That.
Well, just look at it. If comedians are being picked to kind of lead the charge into this, it's like, better than what we've had before.
And you know what's funny today? I got a phone call from Steve Mangola. I missed it, but Steve is wide awake, and I'm pulling into, or he's pulling me into his energy field, or I'm pulling him into ours. Really cool guy. You'll love him. So anyway, go ahead.
So I find out
Zendra portal.
So I find out that Buddy is a friend of our friend Alan Prophet.
Oh. So Shabowski.
Right. So one thing leads to another. So he goes, "Hey, let's can I do and Buddy does a remote viewing." And I have a friend, Nancy Dutetra.
Buddy does remote viewing.
Remote
Let me get
viewing,
back to that.
Just like Nancy Dutetra, and she's been a Dutetra. God, she's got the French last name, and I have a tough time with it. But Dutetra. And who wrote the book How to Talk to an Alien. She's a friend of mine from university, and blah blah blah. I brought her in, and we did her first CE5, and she's visited the ranch, and she's bent up all my spoons because she does that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, make a long story short, but he goes, let's connect remotely. And and it was an evening. Last Saturday was an evening that the CE5 Global Initiative, takes place, where a number of the groups from around the world, around the globe, do CE5s and connect. So, Buddy vectored in at about 5 after 9, and he texts me, something very important is going to happen at 10:15 p.m. So we're just done with our meditation, and
right.
I don't know if you'd done your invocation, and I did it for the first invocation. I don't know if it was before or after yours, but at some point in time, you did it once again. A great invocation.
Thank you,
and you're welcome. It was a divine pleasure, and that all of a sudden, we had some flash bulbs and things like that. And if you people don't know what I'm referring to, just write to me at mmerberg@disabilityattorney.net. That's MURBURG@disabilityattorney.net, and I'll send you one of the protocols. It's a beginner's protocol. It's not an expert protocol, but it'll get you on track for doing this and teaching other people how to do it. And it's got pictures and things, so you know what to call stuff. So if you haven't done this before, you're going to
there's a lot of different shapes up there. And Chris, we'll just take a second here. Zero says Lou Angel Wolf was live 24 minutes ago. Can you delete that?
Not right this second, no.
Okay. Well,
I can't do it because I'm not part of your Facebook.
Oh, but
you can delete it
You don't
after.
have control. Oh, I could delete it. Okay, I'll delete it.
Is
on
that
the break.
killing you?
No. It's just the same goofy thing.
You got 25 views.
25 views of me sitting down.
Yeah.
All right. But here's the big one. This one's the one.
Yeah,
That's
you got 9 people listening on Facebook.
Nice.
We're up on YouTube. We're
All
doing
right.
that, and we're also being simulcast on IRN.
Man, we're getting it out there. And I think what it is like I said, this is about a Loutopia number 150 something. And I think what it was is we finally hit our stride as to what we want to talk about,
right?
To what we really want to communicate. And actually Loutopia is going to go through a change here in a couple of weeks. It'll be well publicized. There'll be links and all that other stuff. But we're getting a new concept together. We're really excited to have Kathy McGuire. She's going to be doing some development and some promotion for a whole new thing. My son Isaac is involved as well.
God.
And yeah, I know.
Okay, I'm kidding.
He'll get around to it.
Make sure you
I love all my people. Look at this. Nanette and Kelly Frund. Kelly and I worked together at Bennington's, Ron Bennington's in the 80s. She was the cutest little waitress, and we've remained friends for many, many years. And just a great guy. She's always on my Facebook, and I'm always on hers. And she's a really, really cool person. And I think she's into this too. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so like I said, this is the Loutopia podcast. This is about health, humor, and well-being. This week we're talking about CE5, and there's also, we're going to go into this a little more in the second half. There's more and more information being leaked, more and more government agreement with UFO sightings and extraterrestrial contact. It's an old, badly kept secret. But I really think that the government is finally letting go of some of that control. And who knows whether that's a manipulation unto itself. I don't know. But
well, I don't think you really have to care about what the government's doing anymore, because it's becoming so obvious. If everybody starts doing CE5 and realizing that in these enders start appearing, we have interfaces with non-human extraterrestrials or intelligent beings or extra ETs. I mean, you really want government to get involved in something like that? I mean,
I really do prefer they just leave it alone.
Right. It's bad enough they're trying to take all our freedoms away and sell us Chinese TV sets, but
yeah, but that's impossible. That's too much power. See, because here's the thing: if people started really understanding that they're not of this world,
right,
that we are from somewhere else, and the fact that the cabal has been running us through this endless maze year after year to perpetuate itself. Now, I'm not saying people haven't found their way along the way. They certainly have, because that's the nature of life. But what I'm telling you, if you're still perplexed, it's 2018, you're still looking up at the clouds going, what the hell am I here for? It's because you're trying to break through. You're trying to tear a little slice in the veil. You want to see something on the other side. And I'm telling you, it's full. There's lots of stuff to see. You just have to let go a lot of your preconceived notions. You got to clean your pineal gland. You've got to take some walks. You got to do some meditations, and you got to surrender a lot of the crap that you think you already know. So that being said, that's why our show is moving on to the next, I don't like saying next level, to the next phase, to the next chapter or whatever. But Michael, this is important stuff, because when people start to accept this and understand this, they won't be on Facebook, sticking their tongue out at Trump or Obama or Hillary. And that's all so childish. And here's the other thing too. Why you have nothing to do. The fact that you post some ugly slam against a politician, regardless, what does that say about you? What does that? You didn't do anything.
Well, what people don't realize is that the world is this three-dimensional world is comprised of competing energies, and the only way to escape that three-dimensionality of competing energies is through the following the underlying fabric of the universe, which is love. All of our of our ascended masters have taught us that once you find love and once you find simplicity and once you engage in some patience and compassion for yourself with your fellow man, then you elevate yourself above a dichotomous universe that causes these kind of splits. And then once you experience universal, unconditional, and indiscriminate love, then all these differences disappear.
Absolutely.
And what we see in each other then is the divine creator of all things, the infinite depth of love, and that's the bottom line.
Sure.
But before we go any further, I'd like to kind of finish up where I was going with Buddy.
Sorry, go ahead.
And this is what makes this episode remarkable.
Okay.
So, I'm checking my iPhone, and at 10:05 on the iPhone, we have this remarkable craft, energy craft, appear above the group in this little up off to the south, and then we saw it, and I took my signal light and flashed it, and then the flash was so bright.
Yes.
I have MUFON, Mutual UFO Network people that have joined my group, and they're wonderful, and they're core group people. The light was so bright, it completely knocked out our infrared and night technology and ability to photograph. So the flash was that bright that it knocked out the camera. And it did it twice. And it was absolutely astounding. And the strange thing about it, I look at my watch. My watch is reading 10:15, just like
Nice.
Buddy called it.
Wow.
So I look over to Lou and I go, "Hey, my watch is 10:15," and he goes, "Yeah, Buddy's calling it on appointment time." And then that was the remarkable thing,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
he absolutely called it. I've only seen that done one or two other times, and the last one was Hollis Polk, and when she telepathed a craft and said at 10:15 that night, and back in October, that over that mountain over there at exactly 1:15 there's going to be a craft appear over the mountain, and damn if one didn't. Right on schedule.
Wow.
So, I mean, this is amazing
Yeah, we got
stuff.
amazing stuff here, folks. We have to go to break, Chris.
You do or you don't. You're going to get your phone call at 7:05, which leaves you 3 minutes. So it's up to you. You can take the phone call and just go roll it right out, and we can stop.
How you doing? How you feeling?
We can
Let's
stop
take
on
the call.
What's that?
We can take the call.
Yeah, why don't you just run straight through with no break tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, no break. All right, that's good.
Usually we take a break. Everybody's listening on Facebook.
And then we play some cool music.
Yeah, that's for YouTube people. Well, you guys could hear the music through the little speaker. But yeah, tonight we'll run right through because Beth's going to call in a minute.
All right, very good.
And then
That's fine.
I'll put her on the speaker, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it here in the studio.
Hi, second half of the show.
Hey, well, during the break here, this imaginary break, I went to see the Mr. Rogers movie last night.
Oh, did you?
Okay, yeah, that was really kind of cool. But you know what his middle name was?
Egbert?
No. I'm trying to remember what it is.
You said that like you knew, and we were going to...
No, it is. It's McFeely.
No!
It's like a fake driver's license
No,
name.
it was one of the characters on the show.
Right. It's
McFeely?
Fred,
Mr. McFeely.
Fred McFeely Rogers.
Ah,
Wow.
And it was a wonderful, wonderful movie, amazing show, amazing guy, absolutely. But he had this.
And Tom Hanks played him, right?
No. This is a
documentary?
This is a documentary about his life.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a wonderful
I
documentary.
thought somebody played him in a movie.
Well, it probably could have, but it's a wonderful day in some neighborhood.
He was so cool. And this was a straight-up documentary.
Right, it was.
I like it.
And you can learn so much about the man's life and how to live a really wonderful and good life. But one of the quotes that he had on the movie, and it was just really hit the spot, is he said, "What is essential in life is invisible."
Whoa. Yeah.
Fred Rogers.
Love that.
So, and that's kind of what we do with CE5. You send up this love and intention, which is absolutely invisible. You can see each other doing it, and you can feel the love, and you can create the circle and the toroid, and the energy changes, and it's something you actually do and send it on up, and unbelievably these entities appear as if angels in prayer or whatever you want to call them, and they're wonderful and they're friendly and they heal, and the stories are amazing. Also, speaking of amazing stories, I'll put in a plug for experiencer.org.
Experiencer.org.
Right. Ray Hernandez is a group, and
yes.
And Dr. Rudy Schill's experiments, and numerous other people that are involved in that program. Their book is about to come out in August.
Yes.
650 to 700 page tome on their research on the effects of extraterrestrial contact on human beings.
Wow.
And the amazing part of it is even the CE3 abductees, people who have been taken, without their consent or will. That was very common, 15, 20, 30 years ago. 85% of them still see that as a positive experience in their life.
Oh, yeah.
So it's even the most, abrupt and unremarkable circumstances, unfriendly circumstances.
You have a special table at the banquet if that happened to you.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a whole lot of you.
And there are a lot. There are actually a lot of them around. There are people in our group. Yeah.
We got CE3 people?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and the part of the, you contributed your history, they've contributed their history, and that will be a subsequent publication, hopefully through experiencer.org.
Wow. Well, very cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are knee deep into some CE5 conversation here. This is the Loutopia podcast. I'm Lou Angel Wolf, Mike Merberg, Chris Gorgeous over there. And like I promised you in the first half of the show, we are joined by her very elegance. She's my favorite hypnotherapist and one of my best friends on earth. Welcome to Loutopia, Beth Snyder.
Nanu, my friends. Nanu.
Very nice. Well, Beth,
very kind of you.
Very good. And Beth, we're on tonight. We're on YouTube and Facebook Live and Podomatic, and there's one other thing. And
IRN, I thought.
Yeah. Oh,
IRN simulcast.
IRN simulcast. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
But your presence makes me weary, dear. How are you?
I'm so wonderful. Yeah, I was able to catch a little bit of the live show before I jumped on, so it was really great.
Oh.
I was glad to see Chris change the camera angle.
Yeah, that first one was a little low, camera one.
Humana. What's going on, fellas?
Yeah. Well, Beth, it's so interesting how all the circles of our lives have intertwined, and we're linked like the Olympic rings sometimes. And it was really interesting. Last year, sometime I remember you and Michael had been talking that hey, you would like to come up to one of the CE5 events, and you were like, everybody's making plans because you got a little bit of a drive and stuff like that. And then in the interim, before the event actually happened, tell everybody what happened to you while you were out walking Stevie Nicks.
And Stevie Nicks is my dog, in case you're tuning in for the first time. I don't want you to think I'm the caretaker of the actual Stevie Nicks.
She takes the real Stevie Nicks out for a walk.
Come on, Stevie.
They both look good in collars.
She's like
She's on the edge of, always on the edge of a walk.
The edge of a walk. Put your big witch.
No, it was really incredible. So all of this was kind of coming into my life, and at the same time, I had also gotten a new client who was a regression for some of this kind of stuff, and actually for some cryptozoology stuff, which he had experienced. So that had come to me as part of being part of a film of being able to regress someone in that way. So I was really kind of focused on it, and it seemed like it just kind of showed up in my life, and I was not thinking about it at the moment at all. I just went out to take the dog for a walk, and I opened the garage, and by the time I turned around, I just looked into the sky, and there were these incredible orbs, these very bright red orbs, nothing like we had ever experienced before, and they hovered there in kind of a pattern shape, and they made a few different patterns, and then one at a time. I yelled for Nancy. She was in the house, and she of course came running out, which is rare because normally she'd be like, "Will you shut up?" But she did. She's like, "What's going on?" I said, "Just come. You have to see this." And so we just stood kind of stunned. It was an incredible experience. They were absolutely silent. They were close. They did a few pattern formations, and then one at a time, in the blink of an eye, very speedily, they just disappeared. And it appeared as if they disappeared into what I would consider, the Orion constellation.
Sure.
And so we have looked for them. We have asked them to come back. And she actually had another experience by herself one night. But I've not had that experience again. But it was incredible. There was just an incredible feeling of peace. There's no other way to explain it. There wasn't telecommunication. I didn't really necessarily feel that I received any download or message, but it was almost like, okay, I'm going to let you see me.
How? Wow.
Like, okay, you get to see, and then keep doing your work, and maybe you'll learn more.
Okay, so now you're on the ground in your driveway in Sarasota, Florida, and
right.
You look up, and how big is it? Like, was it? What could you compare it to?
So you'd probably compare it to, oh gosh, let me think. Maybe the size of a helicopter body.
Really?
But a little, yeah, but kind of if it's a little bit in the sky, so it would appear a little bit small. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
sure.
From a distance, without the blades and all of that, So maybe if that were rounded off, it would have appeared like that size.
Now, was it round or oblong or?
Oh, completely round.
Completely round.
Utterly.
And red.
Yes, completely round. They were. It was energy. It was there. It was an energy. I sensed it as more of an energy being.
Sure. Or
a being in itself. It didn't feel like the spacecraft. Like this is a spacecraft that's
right.
made of metal or made of something. This had a glowing quality to it.
It was an energy globule. It was.
It was, yes. And so, in some hypnosis work for myself and, just some journeying and shamanic traveling, I've really, received that was my star family kind of visiting me.
Yes, absolutely. Well, they're preparing us all for these days. Because as we...
a new world.
There's a new world, and there is a tear in the veil. There really is, and there's a lot of us trying to stick our head through it and see what's happening. Now,
well, and the shamans, and the Peruvians, are in the 20-year cycles that this Earth plane will become the lower world. This will be where people process, the lower worlds, and the new world, which is what we're creating, will be more of that mid-tier world or that upper world.
So
which is, of course, the consciousness of one.
So we are pioneers of the new world.
Yes,
that's what we're
absolutely.
Yeah, the new world disorder.
The new world disorder. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. Because the order, the whole thing. What happened, and I think it's what's happened to each of us here, is as we run through this maze. I mean, I'm still, I'm mentally free. I mean, I go places I don't need to actually try. I don't got to get in the car or a plane or nothing, and I can go a lot of great places. But yet I'm still kind of stuck here, running through this maze, earning money and living in climate-controlled shelter and moving around in a little vehicle. I'm still doing that, but I feel that is. That all that's been given to me or entrusted to me, so I can find my next thing. So maybe I can find my little tear in the veil. But all my life, I have never felt like this was completely my home. There's familiar markings, but there's a lot more spirit energy in my life, than more than anything else. I mean, and what happens, Beth,
Sorry.
I know one of the things that you people you talk to all the time are empathic, or people that are empaths, and they have a higher degree of sensitivity. They feel things more deeply and clearly than a lot of other people do, and the more we cultivate that emotion and not call them snowflakes and not make fun of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This new millennial generation, they get it. They absolutely get it. At the Om Shop and Spa, we sell metaphysical wellness, and people that come to us are people that are searching for spirituality, searching for something more. They're not materialistic people. They're not,
right.
They're not in the drama. They're not in the illusion of this earth, right?
Right.
Or they're attempting, greatly to move out of it. So we typically attract women. Our demographics are women, 40 to 45 to 65, because they have an opportunity now to reinvent themselves.
Yes.
And, they're moving towards love. They're moving towards awakening. So that is our demographic. And then when you look at our other demographic, it is millennials.
Right.
And I just love that, because they're not buying into it. They're not buying into the illusion. They're not buying into a 40-hour work week and money and cars and material things. There will not be an earth left for their children if they do.
Yeah. That's true.
And they get it. They really, really get it. And I just, I really feel that they're going to be the generation that makes a big change in the way that the earth is run.
It's and I couldn't agree more. Hi, Amy Ambrosino. Good to see you all the way up in New York City. Or I don't know where she's at. She might be out in Colorado.
New York.
Anyway, yeah. But anyway.
Speaking in New York.
Yes.
What kind of mosquitoes do we have out in Darby?
what oh, the
Non-welty. Non-welty mosquitoes.
They're non-welting. They're the kind that they bite you and you feel it, but there is no welt. That's how smooth they are. They're non-welting mosquitoes.
Weltless.
They're welt-free, you could say. But anyway,
I know.
that was an
No
inside
itch.
joke from
You
the
get no itch with these mosquitoes.
No, you don't scratch them, you don't gore them, you just they're there.
It's like it never
Don't
happened.
itch them.
No, you got bit. It did happen.
you know?
You know it.
It's like it happened,
But
but
there's
nobody
no-
talks about it.
There's no. It's exactly like the weather. Everybody talks about it. Nobody does anything about it. Anyway. But so anyway, and I know the young kid. You know what? Just a little personal beef between. I had this conversation today. It's pretty funny. Between the millennials, and I do love their mindset. I've met some really, really peaceful ones. They need to learn how to tip. They'll buy the more expensive thing on the menu and not leave a tip. As opposed to go, oh well, I only have $15. Maybe I'll get the $11 thing and leave some money for the waiter or waitress.
Yeah, they might skip the beverage and leave the tip.
Yeah, and they don't tip.
I think that's just being young, right? I mean, you got to learn.
Could be. And they don't tip Uber drivers, from what I understand, either, which is a problem. But but the Uber driver, they get paid to show up.
Well, they're not like we used to hitchhike. You can't do that anymore.
I know. Boy, that was great. Wasn't it?
It was.
Just riding around with
I
strangers.
did. I hitchhiked a lot.
Coast to coast.
Yeah. Tell me some stories, Bethy.
I
About
met the
you
greatest
hitchhiking.
people. Right?
They all had cigarettes. Anyway,
Special.
little them left-handed ones they had. Them left-handed cigarettes. But
Then there was one guy with a clown suit in his trunk, and it kind of spoiled things.
It changed. It all changed that day.
I hitchhiked one time my whole life. This is a true story. When I was like, I don't know, 12, I was like, I'm out of here. And I ran away. And I went out on the main drag here, main highway that goes right through town and out, up Florida. And I got about a mile away, and I flipped my thumb out, and my aunt and uncle picked me up.
Wow.
And they were not looking for me.
That.
They were not looking for me. They just happened to see me and was like, what is he doing? And took me back. I'm
You
like,
might
damn
be
it.
a redneck if.
you
Couldn't
try to
believe it.
run away from home, but your aunt and uncle snatch you back.
I just said it was
Picked
like
you up
it was
in the
pre-
main drag.
It was pre-Napoleon Dynamite. They pull up and I was like,
I think you were Napoleon Dynamite. I think
Good point.
I think they just rewrote it for you. With you.
No, I became Napoleon Dynamite. I did not start out that way.
And you know what?
I got beat down.
You know
my
what?
whole life.
That movie there, that Napoleon Dynamite. I always like people that like that movie, and I often have trouble with people that hate that movie. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Can you guys get it?
Yeah.
You get it? Everybody get it?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
It's like when somebody says to me, "Hey, I don't really listen to music." What?
It's the same thing like the Great Lebowski. All right,
Right.
it's like
Right.
either get it or you
Yeah,
don't.
right.
You know?
The Big Lebowski, exactly. Yeah, and Beth, like I said, I know you deal with empaths, and we've done a couple of past life regressions, and thank you. And Wilhelm, my spirit guide, says hello. By the way, he was asking about you,
hola.
and in fact, I was consulting him when you were down in Guatemala, and for those who missed the show, life regressions.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, and Wilhelm, my spirit guide, says hello. What happened here?
Well, did I lose you?
Okay, all right. Well, they're on two different speeds. Okay, all right. That was a little confusing.
Yeah, we're having a time lapse here.
Well,
No problem. I get it,
Cool.
but I thought I did.
have we entered a time warp?
No.
Wow, wow.
Like Rick and Morty.
The black hole.
We just walked through a portal. Anyway, you were down in Guatemala a couple of weeks ago, right when the earthquake.
Fuego eruption. Yeah, the Fuego's volcanic eruption. One of the biggest ones in a very long time.
Fuego.
Did you see it?
Fuego. Well, we had woken up there the morning prior, and I could see Fuego from my bedroom window. I even took some pictures because it was smoking, and I thought that was delightful as a stupid gringo. And then we luckily were out of town. We went to a beautiful place called Lake Atitlan, which is all the Mayan villages, and so we were there shopping and buying goods from the Mayans. When Fuego erupted, the big eruption, and many people have perished, and it was terrible. So we were lucky that we weren't in town. But when we got back to Antigua, there was a tremendous amount of cleaning that we had to do. So it did reach the home and the cars and everything. Mm-hmm.
It's good.
Ash on everything.
Yeah, really. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and we're so grateful that you made it out, because I'm sitting here, I'm trying to do the timeline in my head. I go, Beth is flying home today or tomorrow? God, I hope it's today, and we're really, really happy to have you back home. And what an interesting time for you to go.
Yeah, and what a beautiful city. People just immediately rallied, and there's some great GoFundMe campaigns out there. If you've got it in your heart, they're still digging people out. They're still helping widows who have lost their husband. People who have lost their homes. I'm sorry, I'm hearing myself.
Is it feeding back? Little
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but the town immediately, it's a beautiful town. It's an old colonial town, of course. But immediately the shopkeepers and everyone was just out and sweeping. And within 24 hours, you would hardly have known that a volcano had just erupted on that town. They're just the hardest working, most wonderful people. I absolutely fell in love with all of Guatemala.
Oh, that's nice.
And yeah, it was just absolutely incredible. And honestly, we're probably in more danger from the city buses than we were the volcano anyway.
And you were telling me
no
too
joke.
that you had friends warning you, "Oh, don't go. There's a lot of trouble in Guatemala. Don't go." And then you actually found out that the trouble is across the street over in Costa Rica.
Yeah, it was really fascinating. The British have a lot of investment, as do Americans, in Costa Rica, and and so. A lot of the rhetoric that we hear too, and you'll hear it commonly in the news here, is all these horrible people crossing from Guatemala, and there's all this trouble in Guatemala. But when you get there, the word on the street is, and the truth is that there's far more dangerous, if you want to call it, gang activity and criminal behavior in Costa Rica. You're in far more danger than you are in Guatemala. But because there's a lot of money invested there. There's a lot more pretty posters about how great it is to buy land. But be cautious.
Yeah,
be
we're
wary,
about
because
20
you
years.
can buy land, and there's people on your land, and good luck getting them off.
Yeah, we're about 20 years behind on the whole Costa Rica making money bubble, so you can kind of just put that out of your mind.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, can
Yeah, I
you
think
pull
so.
the Facebook screen up again? My friend Daniel wrote something I want to read. This is Daniel Miller. We're Facebook friends. I don't think we've ever met in real life, but this guy, we're like buddies. And he says, I'm extremely sensitive to the suffering this planet and its people seem to be in, and it has hurt me spiritually because as much as I've done the searching inside of myself, I still don't get it. This world, the way it's going, doesn't seem real anymore. Well,
It's not.
Yeah, it's not.
You're getting it.
It's not, Daniel. It's really not. And your wellness is more important than anything. So you at your best is best for everyone. So be that light. Be that change that you want to be. With all of that suffering, I'm sorry to jump in here, but I do so much work with this. With all of that, I just really encourage you to continue to hold love in your heart. That is the thing that you can do. When the volcano happened, we immediately, I was with a beautiful group of people that are the shamans, and they have mystery schools. They teach shamanism. And, we just immediately all went into trance and into journey and just went to those souls and went to those places and talked to the volcano. And so, you have great capacity to help in more ways than you realize. So
that's exactly right. And we've had some nice Facebook conversations, and we've exchanged some posts. And Daniel, you're exactly what you're feeling is normal for so many people right now. It's part of our awakening that we're not getting it like we used to get it. You know what I mean? It's the materialism thing is kind of falling away. More and more of us, I work very hard at my day job, and I maintain no debt and that kind of thing. But all those shiny things that I thought I wanted, I really don't want. What I'm starting to cherish is this time that I can reflect and dig deep inside of me and find out more about what's up with me and what pleases me and what satisfies my soul. And that, I mean, you listen to the monks that have lived a life of austere poverty their whole life, and that's where they're at. That's where they went. And I'm really fortunate that I got to, really sample out of the big Whitman sampler of life here. Yeah, there's a couple half-bitten ones I threw back, but I'm really, it makes me wonder, because many years ago, like 1995, I did a thing called the monastic experience. I went and lived as a monk over at St. Leo Abbey for a couple of weeks, and you did work in exchange for your lodging and food. And it was beautiful. The 5:45 a.m. Prayer vespers, 100 guys in a cathedral, 50 on one side, 50 on the other, and we were reading psalms back and forth to each other. One side of the room would read one verse, then the other side of the room would read the other verse. And it was a beautiful, beautiful spiritual experience, because the psalms are very full of praise and happiness. They're nice. And then after a couple of weeks, you get to know where you're at a little bit. And I went, there's half of these guys are here freeloading. The other 25%, this is the only place they really should be. And the other few, they were really on a mission. They were really, really trying. They were really digging deep. And I'm sure that, the schism wore off after a while, and they wandered off and found even more truth. So, and Michael, yeah, that's exactly sure. For our friend Daniel, Michael had a beautiful a verse from the Tao.
Yeah, as some of you might know, I'm a student of Tao, so never-ending student. But what the Tao teaches is to find your center and hold on to it. That's the most important thing you can do in life. Once you do that, and once you find it, you maintain your balance, and then everything else falls into place. Sounds simple and easy to do, and eventually it does get easier. And one other thing, too, is, you know, what we learned from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is that is a quote from Socrates that an unexamined life is not a life worth living.
Amen.
And that's what Lou's talking about, is without that time to examine your life. Who am I? What am I? What do I really need? What do I really want to do? What gives me peace? Where do I find tranquility? And how do I love? And how do I be loved? That is the kind of examination that Socrates is talking about. So that's what we're talking about here as well.
Dude, that Socrates was right on.
Damn, yeah.
Love Socrates.
You can never get a phone booth anywhere when you need one now. or a DeLorean.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, you know, we're sympathetic to you, with you. And the new thing we're about to introduce is going to be right up your alley. And really, it's gonna change a lot of energies, and that's and for the good. I'm into changing energies for the good. I'm not into hurting anybody. If you don't agree with me or us or whatever, if I owe you an apology, please take it. There's a box up next to the door, but.
And don't let the door hit you on your way out.
I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Oh, Ho'oponopono.
Thank you for your friendship.
Very nice. And but please, you know, if you got that, if there's something in your head that's not letting you sleep, for one, you know, a good hot shower right before bed.
Or tell your boyfriend to cut it out.
Yeah. Will you keep your grimy mitts to yourself? You Hot Wheels mechanic, you. And but finding that peace within yourself it's so beautiful, and I'm just so blessed to be surrounded by people that are on the same journey or a similar journey to me, to mine, and I couldn't be more thankful. Pamela is just a wonderful partner, and each of you play such a valuable part in my life. My sister lives right down the road. My brother, you know, I mean, I'm absolutely surrounded by love and people that I would do anything for, and people that would do anything for me. And it's just amazing when you really start to do a head count.
Yeah, that's the law of energy return, is that what you put out comes back.
Yeah.
If you love others, they come back, and that's what the CE5 does too. We put it out, and it goes across time and space and dimension and density, and all of a sudden, these people, these entities, these things, these beings show their love as well.
Mike, I was on that second flash on Saturday night when he flashed back the second time. I went, man. You know, I've seen before, but that was huge, and that was an experience, and that was, I want more of that. Mm-hmm. I want more of that in my life.
There'll be plenty of it,
and less reading in the paper about road rage. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have used up an hour here. Man, actually, it's been an absolute pleasure. Beth, you can get hold of Beth at bethsnyderhypnosis.com. Visit her at the Om Shop with the lovely and talented Nancy. That's theomshop.com. And Beth, I will see you tomorrow night at McCurdy's Comedy Theater.
Very excited.
Yes, a 30-year anniversary at McCurdy's Comedy Theater.
Gosh, I can't believe it.
Isn't that
flying
amazing?
by.
It's amazing.
We'll be celebrating 80 years before you knew what happened.
That's right. I remember.
I think I'm in the video. I don't know if I can make it out this. But
megaphone. I used a megaphone. Chris Gorgeous, are you going to be down there tomorrow night too?
I don't know if I can make it tomorrow. I'm going to be in the video that Twee put together. I did a little spot.
All right.
Said my little congratulations.
I sent one too.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
I'm working in Sanford this weekend.
Okay. Michael Merberg is disabilityattorney.net. a labor of love you got going there, brother.
Yep.
And go to that. What's the website that has the access to the CE5 information?
Well, the experiencer.org, but you can contact me at mmerberg@disabilityattorney.net and ask for a protocol, and I'll send one to you.
mmerberg@disabilityattorney.net. And I'm Lou Angelwolf, and this is Loutopia. You can catch me Saturday mornings on the Grease Gurus over on Tan Talk 1340 and on the IRN Broadcast Network. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening in. This was our maiden voyage. All my Facebook people, love you. Thank you so much. All my YouTube people, thank you. Love you. And, hey, touch base. Let me know what's going on. And welcome aboard, Kathy McGuire. And everybody, be in love. Good night.